it up, windows down, we sing along. The summer night has just begun. The moon is bright, let's have some fun. Oh, this is everything, with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking I don't wanna go. Calling sick in the morning, baby, don't leave.
Tonight, we're going to be discussing cheaters and all about that. So if that's something you're interested in finding out a little bit more, stay tuned. Here we go. Welcome to this week's Ask Jay, Your Relationship. Jayson Mair here from JMC, here to simplify those relationship questions and struggles we have each and every day. Thank you very much for joining in this week. Wow, here we are, Sunday, wherever you are in the world, Sunday night, Sunday day, or even early Sunday morning, as we're about to find out from our guest host today that is going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. What a week it has been as we're getting, 5 or so weeks away from 6 weeks. I don't want to bring it too close. 6 weeks away from Christmas. And the relationship struggles are going to be absolutely crazy. People are going to be going out of their minds trying to sort each and everything out, get their presents right, make sure they organize to catch up with friends and family and everything else. And it's going to be fun and challenging, and it's also going to bring a lot of struggles to relationships if they haven't been brought to the surface so far this year. So without further ado, we're going to talk about tonight's story. But first thing first, I better bring in a guest, and we're trying something different here because I'm trying a different program. So hopefully we can bring her in. We're going to be bringing in Miss. Here we go. Let's try this and see if we can get this working. There she is.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Sandy Archer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's very early in the morning there, isn't it?
Yes, it's only about 3 a.m. Hey.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming on because as you and I were discussing recently, there's a lot of things we could talk about when it comes to today's story, but and you've experienced some personally firsthand as well. I'll bring it up in a moment. We've all, I suppose, experienced it one way or another. Someone cheating, so we're going to cover that as well. I did have a question for everyone. Let's just check to see who's in the house so far tonight. Isabel. She's in the house. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Isabel.
So I'm trying to get, it did have a label up with your name on it, but these banners are just not working the way I want them to. So,
well, I'm Sandy Archer. Sandy Archer Spiritual Health.
Yeah, we got you down the bottom there, except I forgot to left it out. So, Sandy, before I bring the question, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do? I have touched on and said earlier on, spiritual health, spiritual life coach and leader. So,
yes. I'm Sandy Archer. I have Sandy Archer Spiritual Health. That's my life coaching spiritual health page. I take on clients, mainly people that are getting stuck in their lives and need a little push to help them to overcome some obstacles. So that's kind of what I do. And I mainly the middle-aged lady would be my perfect client. So if you're out there, but I'm quite far away from you. So about 9,000 miles?
9,200 miles, not that we count.
9,000 miles or so. But if you're over here in the US, but I can do it virtually. So, hey, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. just to talk to you if you needed me to. So there you go.
It doesn't matter where you are in the
That's
world.
right. That's
the
right.
girl's here to help. So if you want a guy, you got
That's
me.
right.
You need a girl, this is the lady you need to be speaking to. Who's had plenty of years experience. You also were a pastor for quite a few years as well, and also counseled in your local church there for a while as well.
Yes. I did counseling for 12 years. I was a pastor for 2.5 years. An interesting church. It was a biker church. People in the room is biker. So it was a biker church. It was non-denominational, and I did a lot of pastoral counseling there. And I was a health educator as well. So I was a health coach and fitness consultant. So I kind of have a array of skill sets around coaching people. So if you need help in any area, I can kind of try to help you or guide you and give you the right resources to go to.
Excellent. Well, yeah, there's not a lot you've covered a lot there. Health.
Mind, body, spirit. It's called Mind, Body, Spirit. Yes. So
exactly.
That's why it's called spiritual health. Yes.
You got Rosie D in the house saying hi to us. So she's on from Melbourne, Australia as well.
Hi, Rosie. Hello.
Okay, so as we normally do, as I try to bring up a question of the week, I'm going to see if how's it's going to work or not. And I thought, well, let's just get a bit of a vibe and see what's happening out there. The question we've got up for this week, and okay, I'm going to have to do it this way for a sec, is how many of you have been cheated on or know someone else who has cheated? Just curious to see how many people are out there who relate or can understand what we're discussing tonight, because it has been it seems to be a big topic. Doesn't matter where it is. I will touch on a story in a moment that we cover in regards to this. Remove that. It's not going to bring me back. Give me a sec. There we go. We'll get this right in a sec. So there we are. So as I was talking to you before, there was a story that came up recently in, where are we? I'm just trying to find it here. Psychology Today, and it was discussing why people cheat. Sorry, I can't bring it up, guys, so you'll just have to listen to my sexy voice as I explain it to you a little bit. Anyway, more than 90% of Americans believe infidelity is unacceptable, yet 30 to 40% of people engage in it. Infidelity is associated with adverse outcomes such as depression, domestic violence, divorce, even homicide. Considering these negative effects, why do people cheat? And is the phrase "once a cheater, always a cheater" true? Now, this story goes in and says sort of, let's start to answer by considering three primary types of reasons for cheating. So it says these three individuals or three primary types of cheating. One was individual reasons. The phrase "once cheater, always a cheater" refers to individual reasons for cheating, qualities about the person that make him or her more prone to commit infidelity. Researchers have identified a variety of individual risk factors, including gender. Men are more likely than women to commit infidelity, largely because men have more testosterone, which is responsible for the strong desire to have sex. Okay. Personality. Yeah, personality. Those who have less conscientious and less agreeable personalities are more likely than people high on these traits to commit infidelity. If you're wondering about your own personality, there is an assessment. If you want to find out where I'm getting this from too, it's from Psychology Today. If you go to their Facebook page, you'll see it on their wall, or also go to psychologytoday.com. The third one was, or the third in this first trait, religiosity and political orientation. Well, we know that's a bit of a touchy subject at the moment, isn't it? Especially in your world.
Yeah.
Very religious people and those with conservative political orientation are less likely than others to commit infidelity because they have more rigid values. And then it goes into relationship reasons, which is just people who also cheat because of relationship reasons, characteristics about their relationship itself that are unsatisfying. For these people, becoming involved in a well-matched partnership diminishes or eliminates their desire to cheat. And then it goes into situational reasons, which means others cheat because of their situation. A person might not have a personality prone to cheating and might be in a perfectly happy relationship, but something about their environment puts them at risk for infidelity. Some situations are more tempting than others. Spending time in settings with many attractive people can make cheating more likely. Excuse me. The nature of a person's employment is also related to infidelity. Individuals who work involves touching other people. Okay, better be careful. You go get a massage sometimes.
That's interesting.
Having personal discussions or a great deal of one-on-one time are more likely to have an affair. When the sex ratio is imbalanced, an overabundance of men and women in the work or campus environment, people are also more likely to experience infidelity. Finally, people who live in urban areas as opposed to rural, less populated regions are at a greater risk. People in metropolitan locations generally have more liberal attitudes about extramarital sex, and cities simply have more people, creating an environment of higher anonymity. No, I can never say that word. Anonymity, you know what I'm trying to say. And a larger potential group of partners with whom to have sex. So, so I suppose the situations, I suppose you'd be well aware of it. We've discussed it a few times that, a lot of people in workplaces, when they work, a lot of people spend more time at work sometimes than they do at home.
Right.
So they connect with their work colleagues more than their partners. And then also, obviously within not just work, but also, as I said before, connections with spiritual, religious, and political orientation as well would be a bit of an attraction as well.
Right. Yes.
What are your thoughts on that so far?
What are my thoughts? Oh, brother, there's a lot of thoughts on that. A lot of different ways. There are so many different reasons, and really, it comes down to that individual person and their temptation level and their moral compass, I think, and like it says, where they're feeling in their relationship. If they're not communicating well in their relationship and they feel like they're not being fulfilled in that one area in the relationship, somebody that's at work, say, and seems to be paying lots of attention to you in that place, I think that just opens the door to it. And really, I feel like communication is always the key to that. And checking in with yourself on where you're feeling in your relationship and where do you feel like you need some extra attention. But it's really important for the other person to communicate that because, people can't read your mind. So, I feel like I've heard that so many times, like I can't read your mind. I didn't know that you felt that way. So really it comes back down to how you're feeling. Things can be presented to you, but it is your choice to say yes or no. So it's a personal choice. I don't feel like it's on the other person, the other person in the relationship. It's not their fault if you do or you don't. It's really on you. So that's how I feel about that.
No, that is very, very true. No, you've pretty much summed it up very well in quite a few areas there. I've probably said it a few times on the show before that there's a lot of people that do a lot of communication, but a lot of talking, but no real communication as such sort of thing. They, I suppose you and I discussed this as well. The other thing is there's a lot of talking, but they've got to have actions that match up to their talking as well. Or sometimes their actions are better than their talking. They can say, I love you, I love you, I love you, or I'm not going to cheat, or I'm never going to leave you, and everything else. And
right.
You see,
Yeah, it's where that person's insecurities are at. If your insecurities are in a certain area and you think your partner is supposed to make up for that insecurity and they're not doing a good enough job, that's when you go to seek out another person to fill that. But really, the only person that can do that is yourself. And I think that people just gloss over their own their own feelings on that. They think another person needs to fill that up for them, and so that's where it all goes wrong. And that's where people who don't communicate, they just say, "We I don't know what happened," but the next thing you know, the other person was cheating in the relationship. And it was because they didn't even communicate with themselves. It isn't even just about the other person all the time. So, it's a difficult situation. There's so many different scenarios and there's so many reasons. It's very encompassing, like that article says. But I mean, what I saw the most about is in the workplace. I saw a lot of workplace infidelity, because you're around those other people so long and so much. And I can see how that can, a workplace relationship can turn into something because it feels comfortable, because it takes a gradual time, right? So I think I think that can happen very easily in the workplace. So, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. Because, and I said it before, that, you got 24 hours in the day, you try to sleep anywhere from 5 to 8 hours, depending on how good you sleep. Then, you might be up, 1 to 2 hours in the morning before you head to work. In the evening, you've probably got 3 to 4 hours, at home after work before you go to bed, maybe 5 hours. But even then, what's the quality of time you have? I mean, if you're just the two of you, you might get a little bit more time together. If you've got kids, you're likely if you get 5 minutes together. And then when you go to work, you spend like 8-10 hours a day. You've also got like your hour or two traveling from work. Well, not as much at the moment for a lot of people who work from home, the way the world is working. But, so you're around a lot of people that even people you would have never come across, you would have never met them, shopping, or you never met them because they're a different, might have a different belief system, might be a different, touched on before, religion and political things. So
Mm-hmm.
there might be a different background there, but then you're all thrown in the same area and you're spending 8 hours a day. And you might even, I've heard of people who've had relationships that, they've been talking to you like, oh, that person's seeing them. And you're like, serious? They hate each other. And it's like, yeah, they hate each other. And then you see them after work and they're like, oh,
Right.
okay. Because some people are a little bit different at work too. I'm not quite sure what your experience is, but there are some people, and I find this more in women, where they will be in a role where they get to work and they're very strong, and they're, their male side of the domination of their personality comes out, and they have to be strong and everything else. But then after work, they want to be dominated. They don't want to be the dominator. They're like,
Right.
I don't want to make decisions or anything else. So they're quite different. So then some people you meet at work are not always the same out at work. And, people discover that. And I suppose if you work closely with someone as well, quite often you'll be able to, I suppose some people will let their guard down, and you'd sort of see that and go,
Right.
he's not as, strong and as, bullheaded as we thought. I like that about them. That's good. But that's, I guess, the worrying thing. I just want to quickly, there's a couple of new faces that have joined us as well. We've got Jeff. How are we, Jeff? Chewy, nice to have you on board. Good to see you. Cash has dropped in and said good evening and good morning to you as well, Sandy.
Hello.
We've also got Sarah from Sydney as well, who's jumped in to say hello as well. So there's a few other people. We've got quite a few people watching at the moment, sort of thing. So if you're watching, don't, by all means, say hello. If not, hello to you and thank you for joining. If Sandy seems a little bit sleepy, it's because it is 4 o'clock in the morning where she is. I know we're supposed to ring her a half an hour early, and I gave her about 22 minutes to get ready. So she doesn't always look this good in the morning, but she does.
My little slits of eyes. And
No, you're doing really well, girl. I appreciate you.
So I want to kind of go back to what you're saying in the spiritual realm. I kind of know that area because of being in that place. And unfortunately, It happens there as well. But there are guidelines that we would try to put in place where, people would not, get behind closed doors. Like I would not counsel a male, you know, parishioner. I would only counsel women, or I would counsel a couple together, but never, we had to close doors. We had to have pretty strict boundaries in that area, but that doesn't mean that that didn't happen. So I unfortunately know of many because again, we're people and we're all, all congregated together. And again, if there's anything, in that relationship that's not going well, and somebody's giving you this extra attention in an area, say your partner doesn't compliment you on how you look or something, and this other person does. I even had a personal experience myself, where I was taking a class and I was around a male person more than I was, say at home. So, that became really easy to converse with that person. And, we would leave these classes and walk outside, and be out in the parking lot. And so that was really interesting that even I saw that that was happening. So I had to quickly put a boundary on that and thought, could go in the wrong direction. So when you're in those situations, there is a turning point. Like you have a say in where it goes forward or it stops. So, your best route is to say, I just kind of don't feel comfortable about this. You're really nice or whatever. But, I think that it's better that we, don't look like we're, out here, conversing or something like that. So, I mean, I've been in that same situation, where I could tell that it could turn the corner very quickly, depending on a decision between the two of us. So, and neither one of us wanted to do that, but I could see how it could have happened, and so, just to pull it back and put that boundary on it was very important. So,
And I suppose it's a bit of self-control and being quite clear on your boundaries as well.
Yeah.
As you said, it's, for example, just goes off track a little bit here, but a lot of people in Australia have kicked up a stink about the mask wearing and stuff like that sort of thing, and I sort of say, well, I think the reason why they do it, it's not because we all have to wear masks, is there's a minority of them that don't, and if you don't wear your mask, it appears that you don't care. It appears that you're spreading the virus. And it's the same where you were just saying, you meet, a work colleague in the car park, and because when you're working with someone, you might connect with them about something. They'll pick up that there's something wrong, and next minute they give you a hug. And it's the appearance that if someone else out sees you, they're like, oh, I just saw those two in the car park last night hugging. What's going on there? And then things start talking, and it goes down a dark path or whatever else. And it gets very, very, you if you're going to do that, be smart about it, And because there is a lot of times where, you might have a work colleague or a friend or something to give you a hug, and it is as innocent as anything. And you both are clear that, you don't, there's nothing here. We're just friends, and sometimes you need someone to support you. But it's also, you've got to think. I think you said about it when we were discussing this the other day, that if you, correct me if I said this right, I think you said something about if you're sending a text or email or calling someone and you're hiding it from your partner,
yes,
you've got to ask why. Now, I'll add to that, and the main thing I'll say that is, yes, it may also mean that there's something going on, but there's also there are other reasons. Like I've had people say to me, I don't do it because she's a very insecure, girl, or he's a very insecure guy, and if he sees me talking to a girl or something like that, he's going to flip his lid, or she's going to, say there's something going on, and they do it so they don't give that person fuel. But at the same time, if you're in a situation, again, where you have to hide what you're doing, there are some serious, it doesn't mean you're cheating, but there are some serious issues you really need to look at and sort of go, well, you know, you and I discussed when we were talking about this, I said that if someone comes into a relationship and they have insecurities from past relationships, if you leave your phone out, if they've got insecurities, every single time someone who has insecurities in a relationship that have been there from previous, they can pick up a phone and they can find any message in your phone
Yes.
and have an issue with it and think that
Yes.
you're lying or cheating. It'll be taken out of, I hate using this line because it's overused, but taken out of context.
Yes.
It might be something in regards to a work colleague. It could be something about a conversation that happened a year ago. It could be all sorts of stuff, but there's always going to be a message in your phone that is going to set someone else off. So if you are clear with them, and that just, if you find something in your phone, you just sort of go, well, what's this about? Don't be afraid to ask you, we were talking about, David at work and,
right.
right. And be honest, because then if they know that they can trust you and you're not going to be making stuff up, you know issues. Because trust is like respect.
Trust is the key. Yeah. Trust
You've
is the key. And Gwen Stefani has a song, no doubt, about being a brokenhearted detective, and exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if you know that song,
yes,
but it was like one of her older albums, Brokenhearted Detective, because you can find anything if you're looking for it. However, usually when you have that intuition, that gut feeling that something's going on, that's when you start asking your partner. That doesn't mean you pick up their phone to go searching for it. However, being in a situation where that was an issue, possibly, you're always going to be insecure about that. And if that person isn't telling you the truth, and you're not having real conversation, that is an area that's very dangerous, and being a slave to somebody else's phone or somebody else's, communication, and you don't trust them. I mean, you just don't trust them. So you guys really need to get to a counselor or to get to a relationship coach to work those things out. Because if you're looking at somebody else's phone and their communication platforms, then you kind of already know there's an issue. That's a trust issue at that point. So
red flag, isn't it, really?
Yeah, get to the root of it. And you're either going to find out the truth or you're going to find out how to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part. That's the tough part. So
we've got our regular Kenny's just dropped in. I thought Kenny would be out for tonight. He's home. My wife and I have worked together for 28 years in 3 businesses. Like sailing, I'm the captain. Wendy is the admiral.
Oh, she's the admiral. Wow. She gets to be the admiral. That's pretty interesting.
Yes. Cash is watching. We've got Andy, a few of the boys I caught up with today. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys. One thing we sort of discussed the other day, I wrote down here, and they sort of touched on it a little bit in that story, was, and I've noticed over the last, well, I've been aware of it probably it's been around from the 60s, of course, but it seems to be quite prevalent in a lot of the younger generation at the moment, having 2 or 3 partners. There's obviously, you had like the 60s and 70s, you had the swingers and everything. And even where I was at an event today, we were talking about, cultures that have, 2 wives and 3 wives and stuff like that sort of thing. And we mentioned, and you and I were talking about it before, about swingers and stuff and how that, look, it's nice. I know someone I know for a few years ago, a relative of theirs, would have 2 or 3 boyfriends. She had one boyfriend for the sex part, another one for going out and, partying part, and then she had the one that she could just talk to and hang out with and watch movies and do it. And I just sort of went, interesting, but I don't know if that's going to work down the track. And you had an interesting take on it as well when we were talking about it.
Yeah, I had in my younger years, I worked. I lived in another place and met this couple, and they kind of had a swinger situation. And I was young, but what I observed was that at first they were okay with that situation with another couple, but then the women in the relationship became very jealous after that, and didn't really once you open the door to that, once you open the door to letting someone have something outside of that relationship, which is very intimate place, then you've kind of opened yourself up to allowances, right? So if you don't set a clear boundary on that, or you don't talk about that, or it gets into some really sketchy areas. And I think that what did happen in this situation is the person, she got jealous of the other woman. And then the next thing you know, because she allowed her husband to go outside their marriage, he did again with somebody else, though, but not with the same couple or whatever, because she kind of opened the door to that. So unless you're having that strong conversation, that you're letting someone into your intimate relationship. And that can be very dangerous. And I observed it as a young girl and thought, oh no, I wouldn't do that. So it really depends on yourself. And I know there are other people that are open. They say they're open, but I haven't seen a lot of open relationships that have actually survived that. I have not seen the successful one. So you need to ask yourself, why? Why is that? And it's because you've broken an intimacy piece to your relationship when you do that. And I mean, I think people are just too free in those areas and not taking care of, another person's feelings in that too. Because a wife sometimes, which I saw this situation happen, will go along with it to please their partner, thinking that, hey, there's some things going wrong here. We'll try something different. And then they ask someone else into that relationship, and that doesn't go well usually. That person actually will, the partner will actually end up with that other person that they let in. And then that other person who allowed that will be the one that's heartbroken. So, I mean, I don't see where that, I don't know if anybody on here has had that situation where they saw it was successful, but I have yet to see it be successful. What about you, Jay? Have you?
No, I'm. It's funny when I first ever come across it in my past life. As a lot of people, well, some people know, some people did. I used to, in my 20s, I used to be a limousine driver, and you see all sorts when you're a limousine driver. And my company, we had all sorts of people we used to pick up. We had, celebrities and personalities, and the average everyday person, and the rich people. And I remember picking up a couple, and it was a bit of a setup when I was actually told this. My boss went, "Oh, we've got a job for you tonight. Can you pick up this couple from?" And it was near a major race course where I live. And they said, "We've got a job, and they'll be taking you out to an address out the back of the Gold Coast." I went, "Oh yeah." So they get in, rock up in this mansion, and they walk in, and he's in tails, and she's got all the jewels and everything, and hops in the car, and we drive out. We're driving out the back of the Gold Coast, sort of hinterland area. And I'm looking at the address, and I'm like, "Is this the right area?" And they're like, "Yeah, just up the road here, and up the road here." And then they said, "Oh, just on the left here." And I went, "This dirt track?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So drive up this dirt track, and as I'm going through all these bushes and stuff, there's this house in the middle of nowhere with a couple of caravans and all these cars all amongst these trees. And they get out, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Where the hell am I? They get out, and they said, "Oh, we'll call you in an hour and a half. Just be back here in 90 minutes, but we'll give you a call when we're ready." I'm like, okay. They walk into this old, wooden house, and I'm like, Next minute, there's this guy just in a pair of jeans, no shirt, with a G-string sticking out the back, trying to direct me to get me to do a U-turn and get out of there. And I got out there and I pulled over the side of the road and I got on the two-way and I said to my boss, I said, just checking in, what the hell was that? I was only like early 20s. And all of a sudden I could hear about 6 people laughing in the background because they've all been sitting around waiting for it. And they're laughing their asses off. And they said, that's a swingers club. And I went, what? And they went, I've driven past there all the time, never knew it. And they went, yeah, it's been there for years. Now, this couple, I had been driving them then after that for about 2 years. But I noticed over time, and this was even before I was a relationship coach, I'd noticed that they'd get in the car when they first started, and then it seemed like they were hard up against the doors as much as possible, to the point that they were ordering the stretch limousine. I was driving a Cadillac Stretch, and one would sit behind me, so they'd back up against me. The other one would be at the back of the car. So it was like, do you want someone to sit in the front of the car and you sit at the back? I was like, how far apart do they get apart? So obviously there was a break in communication, and usually my experience when I've spoken to people who have been through this, one has suggested it more than the other, and the other one's gone, yeah, okay, all right, we're willing to. But you've got to be, one thing, you've got to be very clear, as we've talked about many a times, on boundaries. You've got to have a, if you're starting to feel a bit uncomfortable, you need to say, hey, it's like if in wrestling they have a code word, or they might tap twice to say, okay, release. You've got to have some sort of word to say, hey, we need to check in. We need to, because this is now going a bit too far, or I didn't like what you did. Because now you're with, obviously sex to some people is just get in, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and out of there. But a lot of people long term, they want for real intimacy. They want that connection. They want to be able to look at that person in the eyes. Now, if they start doing that with someone else who's not their partner, there's going to be a disconnect in your own relationship. Right. And you've got to say, well, are you setting yourself up for down the track? Another way I use this term when it comes to people watching porn. You watch porn, that's fine. There's no harm whatsoever. But what happens is it's like going to a gym. You're working out a muscle. And I don't mean that when we're talking about porn, but you'll know what I mean. But you go to a gym, you work out a muscle. And you work that muscle out. You only have to go to the gym a half dozen times, and that arm muscle or that leg muscle has already stretched to a point. It's the same with your brain. It's and your emotional connections have already stretched to a certain point. And for them to, even with a muscle, when you've worked it out, it will only go back. It won't go back to the original size. It'll go back to close to it, but it'll be a little bit soft because it's now stretched. It can't go back to the original size it was. And it's the same way if you're connecting with someone else, like this, I was saying, this friend who had a daughter that would, had one intimate partner, another one she'd hang out with, and another one she would just wham, bam, thank you, man. That's like, well, down the track, there are going to be, and I've seen some people already start to have this happen when they have had it in the past, this struggle of connection and trust issues massively because they're so used to having that and so used to having that. And you're now wanting to have that all your life. You want your cake and eat it too. Yeah. But down the track, you're going to find people are not going to want that. They're going to sit there and go, yeah, look, I'm not into that. It's either you and me, and that's fine. Or, I'm not sharing it with someone else and stuff like that. And it does, you then are going to start to sort of rob yourself of that real intimate connection, I guess. That's right.
Well, in that article, you had said, once a cheater, always a cheater thing. And so my thoughts on that are, unfortunately, if somebody has consistently done that, and if you really think that you're going to be the one that's going to have that person not be that way, you're kind of kidding yourself. Just saying. I haven't seen that to work out so well either, because unfortunately that person doesn't have that inside of them to put that boundary up with themselves. So that whole once a cheater, always, I've unfortunately seen that to be true. There's lots of different situations. I mean, if somebody cheated in a relationship, um, one time and it was only once with the one partner and they worked it out and they moved forward, that's different. But the person that's always consistently, that's why they're breaking up their relationships. That's the reasoning. When somebody tells you that about another person and tells you consistently, oh, well, and you find out that person, it was because they were cheating, definitely I would just suggest to put a little bit of guard around that. So you need to ask the right questions to that person. Why did they cheat? And if it's always the other person's fault, if they blame the other person all the time, then that person is not it doesn't check in with themselves and doesn't know themselves and is not whole. So, if they're constantly blaming another person for their cheating, then they haven't had counseling. They haven't recognized that really it's them. So that's just
And there's also some of the things
clue.
I've come across is also people that get into relationships and they might be single and they start sleeping with someone and they find out they're married and they're like, oh, he's going to leave his wife for me soon. And I'm like, well, there's two things I have an issue with, and that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. My professional and personal experience, it's never happened. No, I lied. One time it happened, and it didn't last.
Right.
Like they left, they got together, they lasted a few years. But just the main two reasons being too is one, they're obviously not communicating it with their current partner because they're off getting it from somewhere else.
Right.
And two, if they've already cheated on their partner, who says they're not going to, whatever reason they're cheating on their partner, who says they're not going to cheat on you? Okay,
right.
They leave their ex, come to you.
Right.
And you not know, okay, well, whatever they had, which you don't know because you're only hearing one side of the story.
Yes.
They're not going to do the same to you.
Yeah.
In a year, a couple of years, 5,
right.
10, 15 years down the track sort of thing. So
right.
you've just got to be careful with that. I mean, it sounds nice, for some people they're like, oh, well, he's married, but she doesn't know, and I get what I need because I'm single, whatever, or, a guy or a girl, whoever it is. But at the same time, if you're then expecting more from that person, you've got to sort of say, okay, all right, this has been fun, but morally, is this really, do I want to take someone else's messed up baggage and bring it into my life?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Oh, it's not going to happen to me. He
right.
She loves me. And it's like, really? But you don't think he thought that or he thought that when they were together, when they first got together?
Yes.
So it does get quite and messy and as you've, from your experience yourself.
Yeah. Over the years, though, what I've seen the increase is that it's almost even. I don't think men do it more than women. I think it's really even these days. I don't think that it used to be that they said that men did it more than women did, but not anymore. I definitely see the increase in both. So
yeah, I mean, it said in that story. Yeah. Where is it? Okay, I like this part. The phrase "once a cheater, always a cheater" refers to individual reasons for cheating, qualities about the person that make him or her prone to commitment. Reacher, no, it wasn't there. Gender. Men are more likely than women to commit infidelity, largely because men have more testosterone, which is responsible for the strong desire to have sex.
Right.
Now, I see that, but I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit on par with you there, Sandy. But my experience over the time has been that it's even years ago, like when I was driving limousines and I was doing other work before I became a coach, women would get away with a little bit more than men. And I'm going to say something right now. I think you know what I'm going to say. I'll give you a tip, people. Women have more control over relationships than men. Hear me out. And you know what I'm going to say. And I'm going to be blunt. There's no pussyfooting around this. I can't say it any other way except that men, cavemen, we kill, we eat, we have sex, we sleep.
Right.
and it's been all that time. And men want that, they want that. So if a woman wants to give that to the guy, he can. But we will do more to get that than women will do. And women can be a little bit more, we're guys. We're not the smartest people, We're one-dimensional thinkers. We get better as we get older, but the younger guys, we're one-dimensional thinkers, and where women have you guys have this innate ability. It might be the motherly instinct that's ingrained into you at a young age or whatever. But you can multitask at the same time. You can also at times can manipulate systems a little bit better for yourself. And we will do whatever, a lot of the times guys will do a lot more to get what they want with a woman, where a woman can have it, doesn't have it. So a woman can go and get what she wants when she wants. Most of the time can go and get, if she needs, more than a guy can,
Okay.
So, even if it's 2:00 in the morning after a lot of drinks,
So what you're saying is that if it's presented to them, they're more likely to walk into that place and not think about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'm trying to break that down. So well, then how would you put a safeguard up to that then? I mean, it has to be that person's moral compass, right? Or their boundary with themselves. It comes down to having a boundary with themselves.
That's exactly right.
Right.
We've talked for a while now that, when people, we've seen it in people ourselves that we know, where when people separate, they go two ways. You either go I'm going to sit at home and mope around and eat chocolate cake and drink wine and, eat till I'm the size of a house, or they will rebel, lose a lot of weight, change their hair color, change their hairstyle, go crazy, go out and try different things and everything else.
Paint a yellow kitchen.
Yes.
Yep.
You sort of think, oh man, because and that's why you've got to, if you're going to go down that path, and this is not what I'm not just saying, women that will go down the path that sit at home and eat chocolate cake and everything else. I mean, guys, we're just, we'll do the same. Sometimes we'll be a mess and we'll sit around and, drink beer and, watch TV and not go out, or, go, try to find, a quick love in random strangers and then go home, as Pink would say, you in your hands sort of thing. It's sad, but you've just got to then sort of go, okay, how long can you do that for? And go, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I put a post up that's getting a lot of traction at the moment, and I mentioned it last week. I didn't realize I hadn't put it up yet, and it was about the grass may always look greener on the other side, or are you just not attending to your own grass?
Right. That's right.
There's so many things that look good from the other side, but then you get to the other side, and then you go, you and I know we've seen in an indirect way, I think you might know where someone has left, they've gone on to a new person, and they think it's great, and they're already getting major restrictions on what they can and can't do, including their favorite food. And sort of think, okay, you're a person who loves this. The girl you're with now doesn't even allow it in the house, and you've got to start doing this. You've got to start to realize that there's a lot more to the relationship than just sex. There's a lot more relationship than connection. There's so many different levels and factors that go into it, right?
Right. Well, and I can just speak on a personal note, being on and actually, both sides of that. The grass is not always greener, but that's where that conversation needs to happen is, okay, if you're not happy in this relationship, what is it that's not making you happy? And you really need to, it really is the person who's doing the cheating. I mean, it really is on them. It comes down to that. And I think, I was in a situation where people were looking at me because the other person had done it, like, okay, and I felt insecure about that because I was like, yeah, what am I not doing right? Why am I being cheated on? Why is that? What is wrong with me? And that was difficult. I had to really battle some insecurities myself and say, is it me? Is it something I did? And I said, no, I communicated. I said, hey, what's going on? And it just, again, it comes down to the other person. And I took a long time to go through some counseling to get to that it wasn't me, and to regain some self-esteem and confidence over that, because you do, as the other person that's been cheated on, you do think that. You think, I did something wrong. I'm not enough. And that is a struggle, because here you are, like you're saying, women multitask, you work, you have kids, you're taking care of a household, and then, something like this devastates your world, and you still have to go forward. You still have to go on. And then you've got, worrying about your friendships, worrying about, all of those things. And at the time, I was in some leadership roles. So I was actually counseling others at the time. So it's a difficult situation. And you really have to have a good support system to come around you, whether that be, definitely professional. That's the one thing I'm going to say. Other people who see the outside of your relationship, that are your friends, your family, they don't know the true context of everything that happens in your relationship. Only you do, and the other person. So the only person that can help you honestly is a counselor, is going to be an outside, unbiased person. So if you're trying to get counseling from your friends and your family, that's not going to work, because they're biased. Whether you like it or not, they are. So going to that outside person is so crucial. And if that person is not willing to do that with you, then you really need to do something self-preserving, which means you have to do something for yourself. You're going to have to make a move. So if you're in that situation and you think that it's just going to change over time, those things don't go away, because trust issues will build, and you will not trust that person over that time. And that person is going to continue to take advantage of that if they haven't come to a place of, either getting some counseling with a pastor, or counseling with a counselor, or a life coach, a relationship coach, or anything like that. So it's just really important that you don't neglect that too. And don't take it on if you're the person that's on the other end of that. It's not anything that you did or you didn't do. It's called communication that broke down, and that person did not relay that to you in a timely manner to prevent this. There's some preventative things you can do in a relationship with that, is by always saying, hey, just tell me. Hey, just tell me, just communicate with me every day. Hey, I'm feeling this way. Really being honest, because really, you think that you're going to hurt the other person's feelings, but really, if you cheat on them and you go forward in a thing, you're going to really hurt their feelings. So always say what you're feeling, and just discuss that, because it's so important. So what do you think?
No, totally. You can do my job. There you go. No, you're seriously all over it. And like you were saying before about, seeking help from friends and family and so forth.
Yeah.
They're only going to say the right things to support you. If they think you're doing something wrong, they're not going to go, well, you did sleep with that guy down the road and then you're pissed at him for cheating. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, look, yeah, no, he's bad for you. He shouldn't have been done. They're always going to support. They're always going to take a side. They're always going to be, they're always going to have a bit of a bias to you to help you out. And seeing an outside source like a relationship coach or a life coach or a psychologist or someone like that, there's no emotional connection. They're not there for themselves to get, they're not doing it to get, well, if I get you to leave him, then I've got you, because you're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. They're there to help you through whatever it is. And just to sort of touch on, so if some people, wonder where Sandy's coming from, she was, without going into too much detail, she was married for many, many years and found that her her partner had cheated on her quite often, and it wasn't a very good thing. So she's talking from experience, and also being in a situation where she was part of a church and stuff like that. She had she had to live by her beliefs and values within the church at the time.
Right, which could be very heavy. That was a heavy load, because in a spiritual sense, where I'm coming from, it's called grace and mercy and forgiveness. However, if that's going to harm you, after a while, you can do that, but that other person really has to take on. Are like I've heard you say, Jay, about they're not upset. That you found they're only upset that you found out because they got caught. It isn't because they're not really sorry because they did it. They're really just sorry that they got caught, that they did it. And so if there's no personal change in that person, like they're not really striving for that. They're only doing it to put a Band-Aid on the situation to placate you so they can stay in that situation they're in, so their lives don't become uncomfortable. Then they will do that. They will say, I'm sorry. They will say, I didn't mean to, sorry, I'll change. I'm sure many of you have heard that. I'll change. I swear it will happen, but really, that person really has to come to, and we call it to, a Jesus moment. like they have to actually decide to make that change. You're not going to change them just because you caught it. It doesn't mean that that behavior is going to change. It's really, how remorseful are they? Do they feel bad for it? I mean, is it true remorse instead of remorse about getting caught? It's a slippery slope, and every situation is different. But I'm only speaking on my own. But that person is just, they've got to make the change. And if you're willing to go through and forward with that person, then fine, you've agreed to do that, but definitely have your own counselor. Don't just go to a couples counselor at that point. Have your own counselor that's going to support you if you have to make some really drastic decisions, and really, I mean, I'm coming from a spiritual sense, and I was under, a certain church kind of theology, and that was difficult to come out from underneath it. But even in the Bible, that's the one sin that God pardons you and says you're allowed to break this marriage covenant. So that is the one, so I'm just saying that because I felt like, I was oppressed kind of by that, forgiveness, grace, and mercy. And so I knew that was there. I knew even God had said that I was allowed to leave the marriage for that. But I kept thinking, well, no, I'm just trying to be a nice person.
Exactly. And
I wasn't being a nice person to myself. I wasn't being a nice person to myself. So,
and you're allowing someone else to treat you that way as well.
Yes.
But it was a very tight battle. I mean, when you first told me about it, I was blown away because I'm not going to go into other details, sort of thing. But even you're fighting against your moral boundaries and beliefs and values, and then you've got this person disrespecting you in this way. But you're also children involved, and you're trying to do the right thing. And it's not an easy thing for a lot of people, especially mums that have got kids, because a lot of the times they will resort to, well, I need to do the right thing, and the right thing by the kids is to stay with them until they're old enough, and then whatever else they put their kids for first instead of themselves. But at the end of the day, they live a life where a certain part they haven't been happy. Where obviously now with the changes and what you've done with the work you've done over the last couple of years, you're a hell of a lot happier and stuff. So it's
right.
It's
I'm a new person because of it.
It is sort of that's mind blowing. Just want to touch on a couple of things. We've got a couple of other friends here. Gospel jumped on earlier. I think
Hi, Gospel.
Hello.
Hi.
Kenny here. Sounds like a lot of wasted energy leading to nothing but pain and heartache. Yes, very true, my friend.
Yes.
Very true. We got Drew's in the house. Hey, Jay, how are you? Also, he's saying hello to you, Sandy, as well.
Hi, Drew.
Now, this I'm going to skip. I'm just going to skip one comment because I'm going to go back to that at the moment. We got Kirsty's in the house. Very true. If someone says they're sorry but continues the behavior, it just continues to break the trust.
Yes.
That it's a toss up. Why I was skipping to this comment, because I didn't actually read it before it, but I was going back to the comment before that Gospel said, because I thought it was probably a key comment we needed to bring up for the day, which was that as women get older, their testosterone increases while men decreases. Now, I wanted to bring this up because this was something I was not aware of until probably about 5 or so years ago, where someone had said, yeah, as women get older, they're more, and a lot of guys are decreasing. They're coming out of it. That's why, I suppose, the little blue pill for a lot of men helps them out as they get older, but you don't have that for women, because a lot of women, seems to go up later in life. And I suppose too, in their early days, if they're having kids and stuff, that's the last thing that's on their mind. They're raising kids and they're trying to be mums and they're trying to be housewives and everything else, sort of thing. But
right.
Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. And then, like I said, in your situation, you're trying to do your work for the church as well and everything else, and it just it becomes a bit of a struggle, really, to sort of wear many hats, as they say.
Right. That's why it's important to get that counseling outside of that whole situation. Getting somebody's outside opinion to help you and to be your support system is very important,
Yes.
because again, people have bias. So, if obviously even in the church, they're going to have bias. So, just doing a lot of self-care is finding the right counselor and somebody outside of all of that, is just so important. And that's why I feel passionate about the work that I do. And I know, Jay, you do too, because of that.
Yes.
That's why there's a need for that. That's why there's always a need for a lot of us out here to help clients, to get through. So.
For those of you who are watching, as I said, the question of the day was, how many of you have been cheated on or know someone else who is cheated? By all means, put hashtag QA and put your answer in there if you want, or if you're watching the replay as well, by all means, put that in there as well, because like to get a little bit of feedback of, how things are going. And, we know it's, I think somebody's study I saw a couple of years ago, it was like 1 in 3 is cheated on, and another study sort of said 1 in 2. It was quite
wow.
That's
a lot. 1 in 2. Wow.
I think,
so you got a 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's 50-50 chance of getting married and surviving the marriage too. Was it like I think between here and America as well, I think the divorce rates on first marriages was 52.7% of marriages fail, and that was in 2016. I think that last study was done, and then it was like 56.8% of second marriages fail, and then it was higher again for third marriages. So you think after the 2, would you really want to do it a third time, sort of thing? Sometimes,
exactly.
We all make our mistakes and throughout it, sort of thing. But I was just looking for. I had something here, but I don't think it's there. No, it's not.
You're looking for something here and there.
Yeah, no, I thought I downloaded something that I was going to use. I used it on Wednesday's show, but I hadn't used it. I was going to bring it up on this show, but I don't know if it's actually going to work or not. But that's all right. Okay.
That's
anyway.
All right.
What I will say is, because I haven't now I've lost everything. Hang on a sec. I've got too many screens. I got 3 monitors, but only 2 are working because I needed to do something with the third one. So I've got stuff everywhere right now, guys. So I'm just sort of going through and Marky Webb's in the house. He's saying hi there.
Hey, Marky.
Good to see you on board. We've got people from the US. We've got people from the UK. We've got people from the Gold Coast up in Queensland.
Wow.
Sydney, Melbourne. Thank
Kansas.
You all for watching. Kansas, of course, at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, now 5 o'clock. But is there anything you wanted to wrap up and say there, Sandy?
Well, okay. Yes, I want to talk to the person who is in that place where they think they might cheat. Like we haven't really talked to the person that's going that feels like they're going to cheat.
Yes.
You know, I really, just implore you to look inside yourself, and see what it is that you're missing, that what is incomplete there, because you're only reaching out of that relationship because there's something missing in you. So it's really important that you don't blame it on your partner. Just talk to your partner and communicate. Communication is the key. So definitely, and reach out to someone, talk to them, be honest with your partner. You believe it or not, people think that their partners can't handle the truth, but I think that they can. I mean, if they're with you, they've made an investment. It's very important that you protect that investment, and that, I'm sure you can tell them. It may hurt them, but it's better to tell them now before you do it, instead of after. So I just
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. As you were saying, we mentioned this when we were talking about this show the other day. What did I say? Even I surprised myself. I come out with something like, I'd rather, if you get into a relationship sometimes, guys, where you're afraid of saying it to someone because you think, well, I don't want to hurt them. And the best way I described it is, I'd rather be stung by a bee right now. It hurts initially, but it fades rather quickly. The swelling will go down in a couple of days and a couple of weeks, and that's fine. You have to ask yourself, do you want to be stung by a tree? Stung by a bee. And hey, this is water. It's not vodka. So
okay.
You want to be stung by a bee and have the pain go on a couple of days and even talk about it? Or do you want to be hit by a truck? Because that's pretty much, because if you don't tell the person, you might be like, oh, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this. They're going to be pissed at me. Yeah, they're going to be pissed at you. They're going to be more pissed at you if you tell them in 6 months or 12 months or 15 years later that you've been cheating on them. Or they find out. You don't need to tell them. They will find out. They may not find out now. They may not find out next week. They will find out. You said, Sandy, you were told after your relationship, people, you had friends saying, oh, this was happening. And it was like, well, no freaking good telling me now. That's,
Yeah.
When you tell me
but that's a dilemma of your friends and family. If they know something, it is a dilemma to tell somebody else if you know that partner is cheating. That's a good topic to talk about. It is because you're like, should I, shouldn't I? I mean, what would, if they don't know, I mean, it is a hard one. But I mean, if you know, and that person is your friend, I'm sorry. I think that it is important that they know.
And it is hard. Yeah, it is probably a show we need to talk about as well. Because actually, I think one of my questions for Ask Jay on Wednesday coming up, someone asked, should I or shouldn't I tell my friend that they're being cheated on? Because and it is a very difficult situation.
It is.
I might talk about it a little bit more. We got Linda in the house. Marky's wife is here.
Hi, Linda.
Now, if you ever want to learn to have a good relationship, Mark and Linda. I mean, those two, they're always on here together. You always see them doing things together. It's like, I know I watch Linda's videos and I sit there and think, I bet Mark's behind the camera or something. He might be far. He can't be too far away. Those two are just a gem. Really. Nick's in the house. Nick, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sad to read this. I've had a few women cheat on me, and I treat them like queens, and they cheated on me with multiple guys. I know about this because I've known Nick for quite a while. We worked together many, many years ago, and it's sad. He is a nice guy, and I think they sometimes take advantage. But as you were saying, Sandy, before, you've got to ask yourself, what is it? When you have multiple people do it, you've got to ask, what is it? Am I too trusting? If I'm too trusting, maybe you need to be clear on what boundaries you need to set. And really just sort of check in. Or, check in if you can't do it yourself. Check in with someone like myself or Sandy here online. She does online sessions. Or if you need to go see a psychologist, talk it out, speak it out, because it might be something that you're doing
Yeah. Well, and you could be attracted to that type of person. I mean, I
Yeah,
hate to say it, it's true. You know, it
yeah,
could be a family pattern that you've seen that you replaying. It's that tape that you're replaying from, from other relationships you've actually seen as a child or something like that. I mean, there's so many different reasons it could be, and it could just be the quality of person that does your self-esteem match up to that person that you're picking? Are you picking, kind of, I hate to say below you
yeah.
because, that was the one that was attracted to you? There's all kinds of reasons, right?
Was you the
So,
last one in the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning after a few drinks?
yes.
What was it? Sort of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, no, you are true. You are true, sort of thing.
Just
Mark is
depends.
too true. Good communication is vital. Exactly. I bet you guys are very good communicators between you and Linda. Mark, what you got here? I would not like to be stung by a tree. Anyway, Nick, a female friend of mine knew that my ex was cheating on me and did not say a word. See, that's hard. And I mean, again, it is a bit
A
of a dilemma,
dilemma.
though. It's
It
like,
is. You
well,
can't blame the person that knows. You have to blame the person that did it. So,
exactly. While I've got you all on here, if you're still watching, and it looks like there's about 10 or 12 of you on at the moment, just tell me if someone was cheating, if your partner was cheating on you. I'd like to know. We'll have to put this up as a question and say, if your partner was cheating on you, would you want your friend to tell you or not? And would you tell a friend or not? I want to know. So if you're watching right now or you're watching the replay, please put that in there because it is
yeah.
seriously something we'd like to know. Because would you want your friend to tell you if your partner was cheating on you, or would you tell a friend that their partner was cheating on them? I'd
Yeah.
like to know what your thoughts are because it is a
Yeah.
touchy subject, and there are so many different comments and mentions that a lot of people mentioned to me when
Yeah,
we're talking.
I had an ex-partner that worked with them, and the wife and I were friends, and she couldn't tell me because her husband let her tell me because they work together. So there are scenarios on where that happens, you know,
Yeah.
and that's just one scenario.
Linda's
Okay.
just put up there. Before Mark and I were properly together, I had a boyfriend, lived 5 hours away, but liked Mark as well. I was honest with both. Both wanted me to be happy. I saw them both for a little while. Oh, you lucky girl. Both fully aware. They were happy for me, whatever. After a couple of months, I broke up with both initially, then ended up going back out with Mark, and I've been there ever since. The other guy remained friends with us and even came to our wedding. Wow! There you
Wow, that's
go.
a cool story.
There you go. That
Wow.
is
That's
fantastic.
awesome,
That
Linda.
is fantastic, Linda. Well
Yes.
done. That is
Awesome.
that is good. Now there's a woman who knows what she wants. She's like,
That's
I want you,
right.
I want
That's
you,
good.
and I'm just going to
She had
try with
good.
you guys for a while, see who's going to look out for me. Then at the end, no, I'll keep them keen. No. I
That's good.
don't need either one of you right now. I've got what I needed for a while. Then she's thinking, that
That's
Marky
good.
guy, he's
That's
all
really
right.
good.
I might go back to Marky.
Yeah.
So, and then the other guy comes to your wedding. That is fantastic. That is
That
awesome
is. That is
story.
that is really neat. That she had a boundary. That's what it was. She had a good boundary that she told both of them. That's amazing.
I don't want to break it, people, but I think we might have our next guest host on Simplified Relationships coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
If you're wanting to join us, girl,
that's
because
right.
yeah, that is fantastic. I love that. That is awesome. Yeah, Kirsty here. I would want my friend to tell me. I would rather be saved from wasting more time on a dishonest partner.
Yeah. That's how
Yeah,
we most of us feel. It's just that
yeah.
being that friend to tell is the hard part.
A true friend would say to you that your partner is cheating on you. Very true, Nick. Linda, I'd have to tell a friend even if I lost that friendship. Well, that's good to hear. If you guys got more comments, please. I've got a birthday wish I need to put up in a minute as well. But I'll tell a quick story. And I know we've gone over a little bit of hour. Sorry to keep you, Sandy, but you're doing so well. And there's so many people on here, so they're all loving you. Maybe we need to get you on more often. But I had a friend back in my early 20s, a good female friend of mine, and she was like, meant the world to me. But we were friends because she had a boyfriend and that. I knew the guy. They'd been together probably 9 to 12 months, and I'd seen him out a couple of times, and what I saw wasn't a good thing whatsoever. And I think we were like earlier, just about 23, 24 sort of thing. And she was a friend of myself and a couple of other mates as well. We'd all hung out together and then met her at her work once. And someone said to me, do you tell her or you don't tell her? And I'm like, wow. Anyway, I told her, didn't believe me.
Oh.
Really, really got shirty at me. He wouldn't do that. He's been so good to me. He's such a nice guy. And I went, I know. I've always said to you he was a nice guy. But I'm telling you, this is what I've seen.
Right.
Anyway, lost the friendship.
Oh.
3 months later, she found out it was true. Never saw her again. I've always looked her up because she was such a beautiful friend. She was
she was embarrassed at that point. Yeah.
One of my adopted brothers, Alan and Chris, we all hang out and we all thought the world of her. She was a great friend, but she had such a heart of gold. She was just a beautiful girl. But, and I think it's happened one other time too, where, they thought that I was interfering. And I'm like, well, I'm not interfering. I'm just telling you. And it wasn't like gossip. It wasn't like someone told me. I actually both times had seen this person doing something. All right, the boyfriend of her was making out, virtually kissing, hands all over a girl in a bar. And then I saw it about 2 or 3 months later because I thought maybe I didn't see it right the first time. When I saw it the second time, I went, that's it. I got to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it is a bit of a dilemma. It's hard. You want that. But again, as I'm older now, I would tell you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is going to be a sacrifice that maybe, just maybe, someone will not have, you may lose.
Not everybody wants to hear it either. They may already know it in their heart. They already know it in their intuition and in their heart. So sometimes that they're mad at the person telling them because that's the only person they can get mad at the moment, and it does. And then they know something like a secret about you, so there's a weird ledge on that, people that quickly don't believe you and are no longer your friend. It's because they kind of already know. And then now you've seen, something that they didn't want you to know. Yeah. And that's the sad part.
Yes, it certainly is. It certainly is. Linda, I'd have to tell a friend, even if I lost the friendship, gospel, a loyal friend would tell you regardless. I think I would like them to think I'm a loyal friend, and I would tell a good friend.
Yeah.
Good to hear that a lot of people are thinking that, because it is something that can get quite tricky and a bit of a worrying point as well, that,
that person will come back around usually if they get mad at you at first initially until they get through that, whatever with that relationship. Sometimes they'll come back around. Sometimes they will. Look, sometimes they won't,
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too long, but while I'm on tonight, I've just noticed when I was clicking on the likes and that, and I hope she is still here. A lot of you who know me very well. I was adopted out by, adopted a family when I was 15. Another family took me in a little bit before then, the Gritties, and Mama G just had her, I'm not going to say your birth age because you probably won't want me to embarrass you, but I've just noticed, and I'm so surprised she's watching. But Mama G, happy birthday for this week, because didn't think it was going to get to me. Alan just rang me before the show. He actually tried ringing me today, and I was having a bit of a nap this afternoon. He was going to do a video call and get me to jump on. But I did ring Mama G for her birthday on Wednesday or Thursday and sang a happy birthday, as I always do. But I just appreciate, thank you for always being there for me. And hopefully the borders open up and we get to come up and might be able to get up there for a week over Christmas or something like that, or in January, and come and give you a big, massive mother hug. Because she and the boys took me in when I was riding my pushy when I was 13 and 14. sleeping out places and stuff like that. And
Wow.
for her, I don't know where it'd be. And then, Mum
Mm.
and Dad, who I call Mum and Dad now, took me in. So it was and if Dad, I don't think Dad's watching because he doesn't watch, but if he is, I hope your knee surgery from a week and a half ago is going well. If Glenn's watching, pass the message on. But thank you for tuning in, Mama G, because I know you had a barbecue today. Alan said that threw a barbecue for your birthday. So from all of us here, happy birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Mama G.
Yeah.
Yay.
So from Kansas
Happy
City
birthday
and
from
everyone
Kansas.
else. But look, I want to thank each and every one of you each week for coming in and tuning in. I want to say a special thank you to Sandy Archer for joining us tonight. I've had the most people from start to finish join, so maybe I'm going to have you on a bit more, I think. So, but if any of you are out there who don't necessarily want to work in relationships or want to work with a lovely girl like Sandy, by all means, you can find her on the Facebook page. There, look up Sandy Archer Sash, SASH.
Yes. Sash. Yes.
Or you can jump on a website, sashcoach.com. Yes, she's in
Thank
Kansas
you.
City. There is a time zone difference, but
It's not terrible.
4 o'clock in the morning. So
It's only 7. It's only 7 hours.
It's only 7 hours difference.
Only
and
7 hours.
She can see you, online and have your sessions. She'll always have a free chat to you and just find out what she can do to help with you. But I highly recommend her. I'm probably a bit biased, part of the James family, so a bit biased. But, no, she's.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
My pleasure. Like anytime. I mean,
and thank you guys. Hi, Lita family. Lita fam.
We got Gospel sending happy birthday, Mama G. There you go, Mum. If you're watching, we got and
I know
Mark,
the Webbs are so wonderful. Thanks.
They are, and
awesome. And the Robinsons. Yes.
Well, usually Linda and Marky, you usually in bed watching us, aren't you? Sunday morning, sitting in bed watching. It's like waking up with Jay and Sandy sort of thing. So thanks, guys.
So
look,
thanks, Gospel.
Yes, Gospel, Linda, Mark, Kirsty, great. And I was going to use this before, but where is it? Hang on a sec. Nick, thank you very much for joining us. It's a toss-up between Linda's comment and Kirsty's comment, but because we're talking about trust and cheating, I want to make this a comment of the day. I just don't have my comment of the day banner that comes up. Now you'll recognize the comment of the day banner, but so we won't go there. But yeah, very true. Someone says they're sorry, but continue the behavior. It just continues to break the trust.
Yes.
And that's what we've got to be careful of. So
yes.
Thank you,
So
Kirsty.
true.
Gospel, Drew.
Yes,
thanks, buddy, for being here.
All
Kenny,
right.
Andy, Cash, Sarah, Jeff, Rosie, and Isabel, if you're still on, thank you very much for joining us this week. As each and every Sunday, we start at this time, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 7 p.m. Queensland time, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for watching it. Good morning to the US, good afternoon to the UK, and good evening and good night to the Aussies. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandy.
Good night.
Until next week, thank you for joining us. And if I press the right button, see you next week.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
Hang on a sec.